Low-budget horror films have been the staple of cinema since the dawn of time. You do not need large sets, special effects artists, or even explosions to sell a scare. You need a premise and the ability to sell the premise using characters. Slasher films have dominated the horror genre, creating one of the most loyal fan bases in all of cinema. It's easy to see why Hollywood is so quick to go to this genre, and even easier to see why they fail. So many low-budget horror films are made with a premise, absolutely forgetting the foundation they're built on. Let's not forget why Laurie Strode has appeared in 7 Halloween films. Do you guys even remember the characters from Bye Bye Man, Slender Man, or Truth or Dare? Probably not.
Oh, yes! I hate this! It is revolting!
More?
Please.
This brings us to this episode's focus for Lost and Found, Happy Death Day. Happy Death Day is an uncompromised blend of unique plot driven by a quirky, charismatic lead. It's a self-aware black comedy rooted in the slasher subgenre. It takes its plot mechanics from a film most might be familiar with, Groundhog Day. Like the 1993 film, Happy Death Day pushes the main character of Tree, yes, her name is literally Tree, into the same day, repeating over and over as she's brutally murdered. Both films use this plot mechanic to drive character growth. Tree, like Phil Connors from Groundhog Day, starts off as an insufferable, cynical jerk. Repeating the same day gives them the ability to learn not only from their day's mistakes, but how their life has reached this point. Thankfully, Happy Death Day, using the slasher subgenre and even employing sci-fi at times, distances itself away from the Bill Murray film. All that being said, it's easy to see how Happy Death Day might be a horror slasher concept ripoff of a successful comedy classic. Thankfully, some inventive changes keep that from not being the case. Obviously, the sci-fi element of why this is happening comes into play, and a ticking time clock plot device. When Phil Connors relived his day, he did so without really worrying about consequences. His journey lasted years, so using this again will become redundant. Writer and director Christopher Landon smartly uses the concept that after every new reset, Tree isn't the same. She eventually grows weaker from every stab, every suicidal death, and eventually plays a toll on her body, therefore enforcing the idea that she must hurry to find out who is behind her murder. Horror films might be the most subjective genre next to comedy. What scares you might not scare the next person. What makes you laugh might make the other person's eyes roll. Happy Death Day does not suspend itself with trying to terrify you. The mass killer, the one behind Tree's constant and inevitable demise, is not a haunting, game-changing figure like a Jason or a Freddy. Thankfully, Christopher Landon is completely aware of this. Time is spent fully exploring Tree, her life, and her connections, and basically how she becomes an insufferable human being. Thankfully, the box office success of the first Happy Death Day led to the sequel, Happy Death Day 2U. While not nearly as charming or inventive in the way it uses the infamous plot device, it still embraces the sci-fi quirks the original set up. While it takes a conscious step away from the slasher elements, it takes a bigger step into the self-aware comedy and sci-fi lore the original set up. For the most part, it works, but where it really pays off is Tree's growth. Again, once more, Landon is aware that Tree is the key to it all. This is, after all, her day to live and repeat. The finale of the film has a rather neat and clever emotional payoff that even supports the basis of the first film. The two films together on a combined budget of $14 million amassed over $180 million worldwide. At this moment in time, a third film isn't likely. The Happy Death Day films are simple in design but well executed when they need to be franchised. They do not divulge too hard in the genre's horror mechanics, but instead on the charismatic lead. At the very least, this series is worth an afternoon weekend watch. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoy the content, please subscribe and give this video a like. If you have any suggestions for future episodes, leave a comment down below.